see this merging of two souls, two beings, and this oneness happening, and it's pure power. I thought she was great. It was the most incredible 3 days of my entire life. Sometimes when I'm in meditation, one side of my body is me and the other side of my body is him. I have a penis on one side and a ball. I'm so grateful that I met him because I didn't realise how much I wanted God.
Welcome to Beyond the Veil, stories of twin flames, divine union, and mystical encounters. Sit back, relax, and listen to your story today.
My name is Eva Neem, and I met him just over a year ago. I had an invitation to go to Portugal to a festival, and I did not want to go. I had so much resistance and something was holding me back. But then a voice kept saying, "You've got to go. You've got to go." And when I arrived, there was this prickling of excitement that just filled the air. And in the distance, I could hear the vibration of sound as the music from the festival was starting to begin. The sun was just about to set. And he was walking towards me. He was glowing. He wore a piece of dusty pink taffeta fabric wrapped into a turban on his head. And he had the greenest eyes that I've ever seen. They sparkled like emerald jewels. As our eyes connected, it was like time totally stopped, just for a moment. And I felt this surge of electricity course through my entire being. But he was so good looking. I just had to keep walking. I couldn't even look back. I danced all night and I was just about to leave when that voice inside my head told me to go to the other side of the forest floor. And when I did, he turned around and said, "Aye, aye, aye. I've been looking for you." We danced, and before I knew it, we were kissing. He tasted like sweet lavender. I felt like I'd been kissing him my entire existence. So when he said, "Do you want to get out of here?" I didn't even have to think about it. Of course I said yes. Gently took my hand and he led me away from the dance floor and he pushed me up against the trunk of a tree. There was so much passion, so much heat. There was a ravenous fire burning between us. Afterwards, as I lay with my head on his chest, he told me that he needed to tell me something. I'm married. Oh my God, Sophia, my heart dropped like a stone to the bottom of the lake. And I waited for him to tell me that he was joking, but he never did. And I got up as quickly as I could, fumbling around looking for my socks. I just had to be out of there. As we bowed our heads in prayer, we parted ways. I looked back over my shoulder and he was just stood there, watching me. It was at that moment I vowed never to see him again. But the thing is, I could not stop thinking about him. I found myself at the edge of the lake the next day in turmoil. I believe in the holiness of marriage, but Every cell in my body ached for him. Then I started wailing. Hands and knees on the floor, wailing. It was as though my soul was crying. I've never heard myself make sounds like this before. So that's when, in between the tears, I said, dear God, if he was telling me the truth, that he's never done this to his wife before, that he's not a serial cheater, then send him to me. Before midnight. It was just before the clock struck 11 p.m. The night sky was black like velvet and red lights were flickering in between the trees. That's when our eyes connected once more. Faces melted like hot wax into the distance. It was just him and I. He held my body so close, pulling me so tightly, whispering in my ear, this feels like a heart connection. We spent the next 2 days just dancing. I've never danced like that with anyone before. It was this unspoken language of movements. We did not need words. It was this gentle catapult into heaven. Just being with him was as effortless as taking in a breath. I felt my nervous system fully relax for the first time ever. I felt so safe. And it was pure presence with him. The internal chatter of the mind had completely suppressed itself. And it was just him and I. So on our final night together, as we lay wrapped naked in each other's arms in a tree house, I told him that I would wait for him. He told me I needed to live my life. Hot tears cascaded down the sides of my cheeks. When it came to say goodbye, I could not even look at him. When I finally turned back around, he was gone. I didn't think I'd ever see him again. I ran back to the lake and I wailed until the sunrise. It's just like two magnets. We were pulled back together. We both prayed to God that we had to see each other one last time. And then he started crying. I mean, sobbing. I've never seen a man cry quite like that. And he took my face so gently in his hands and he said, I love you. I love you. I love you. It was the most incredible 3 days of my entire life. I will never forget any moment.
What happened right afterwards when you went home?
I was with a friend, so I wasn't able to really process it or perhaps grieve it straight away. But once I started, I could not stop. I think nearly 8 months. 8 months, maybe more of wait. I mean, it's still happening now. Look at it. But it will not stop.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Your story is so profound and gorgeous. And it's like you went to another realm, another dimension, and just got to touch God for a minute and touch heaven. And that devastation when you have to leave is so soul wrenching, right? Oh, I feel you. You know, when you said you've never heard that voice come out of your when you the wailing. I had a friend that once said I sounded like a dying cow. It was like when I was crying over my love. It's this guttural, soulful thing that comes from the very depths of you. It's so wild.
I felt like it was coming from the depths of the earth. Like it's so deep. It's
It's
so deep.
ancient, right?
It's
Like it's this.
ancient. It's ancient, totally.
Hmm. Oh, wow, wow. How did you discover it was a twin flame energy?
Mm. I believe it was a few years prior to meeting him. I'd never heard of the concept ever. I'd met a Reiki master and she said, "You've got a twin. You have a twin flame. I see you coming together and I see this merging of two souls, two beings, and this oneness happening, and it's pure power." I thought she was crazy. However, this meant that every man that I met since her saying this, I wondered, are you my twin? But with him, I didn't think it. I was so present with him. And even afterwards, I thought perhaps it's a soulmate connection. Maybe we shared something in a past life. I thought there's no way he's a twin. No way. It took me months, months. I believe it was the day before I met you. The day before I met you, I said, I just know he is.
Wow. Wow.
And then obviously we met.
Yeah. And that was
One of
profound.
the first things you said was, oh my God, you're a twin.
You opened up the Zoom and I was like, oh no. But oh yes. Yeah, immediate. And I think you can recognize it. It's like that Reiki master. It's like you recognize it immediately. I recognize it instantaneous. I had someone here recently that came in and she's just talking about her normal life. And I was like, so when are you going to tell me about the twin? And she's just like, ah, and starts crying. Oh, wow. That's really intense. You know, what I've found is one of the aspects of this journey is the sacred mirror. And so we mirror our light and our dark, and we mirror all those unhealed aspects of ourselves in order to truly heal it and come into divine union in our own. What's your healing journey been like, and what have been some challenging aspects that you've had to face on this part of the other side of this meeting?
It's been intense. It's been really, really intense. I think, especially living in this 3D life, you go for a normal work, normal job, and then you're having to stop for a moment and you're on your hands and knees in the kitchen floor, wailing, and then you're coming back. Yes. So, what were you saying? So, it's just this shifting of realities.
Yeah.
And I guess the loneliness has been really, really challenging. I've not really been able to open up to anyone else apart from to you, which is why I've been so grateful to God that we came together.
Oh, so grateful.
Mm.
Yeah, that profound loneliness and thinking you're on this journey all by yourself is Really challenging. Really, I didn't even know what a twin flame was when I was on it, so that was a whole other level. But I get the wailing, and I was bartending when I was going through a lot of my stuff, and I'd be in my car screaming and wailing, and I'd walk in behind the bar. Hi. I was like, "You're the happiest person I know," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Totally.
Wow. Yeah. What have some shadows come up that you've had to work through?
Hmm. Realizing how disconnected I am from my body, my heart, the earth, other beings, sisterhood, every plant, every bird, feeling that separation, that disconnection, and also feeling the longing, how much I want God.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so grateful that I met him, because I didn't realize how much I wanted God before I met him. So I have
That's
nothing
chills.
but gratitude.
Yeah. I always say they're the gateway to God. It's that you get that taste of heaven and you step into that realm, and it's that gateway to that longing for true union for God. That's how I always know when it's a real twin too, because ignites within you the longing for God and home and more of who you are. It's like, and then you start seeing like how saw Christian in the trees, Christian in the grass, Christian in the milk. And that's, you start seeing that twin, which is God in everything, which is really beautiful. And I know we vacillate back and forth between the full separation and the full union, which is always really challenging. What's the most surprising thing that's come to you from this?
The merging of two energies. I look in the mirror sometimes and it's him looking back at me. It's almost like my face transforms into him. Sometimes when I'm in meditation, one side of my body is me and the other side of my body is him. I have a penis on one side and a ball.
Yeah, that part is
That's
such an
been pretty surprising.
That's very surprising. That's a good point. That surprised me so much. I look in the mirror and go, "Wait, what?" My eyes almost looked brown. I was like, "This is
Mm.
so wild." Yeah. Or even I think I told you like walking down and like checking out a girl going, "Yeah." I was like, "Wait, that's not me." So funny. One of the things that really inspired this podcast and what we want to do with this is a lot of people tell me just listening to me on other podcasts or my story has really, really helped them make sense of their own journey and made them feel that they weren't crazy. Because I think that's part of the journey and the initial parts of like, oh, great, I've lost my mind. They're going to wrap me up in a white coat and haul me off. You know? When you're laying on the floor of your living room or kitchen and you're just wailing and you're just like, oh, okay, I've lost. And then you hear their voice in your head and you're like, oh, now I've really lost my mind. So that's one of the things I wanted to do is bring some more of these stories to people and understand you're not alone. So for you, since you've been on the journey for about a year, what advice would you share with someone that was very new on the journey, like they're on that kitchen floor wailing, thinking they've lost their mind?
I think there's so much confusion and so much doubt, especially in the beginning. And I think being really careful who you open up to and who you speak to. I spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on mysticmegbloody.com trying to figure out who he is. And I think unless you're on this journey, you are not able to give advice.
100%. That is brilliant because I do tell people like be so mindful who you get readings from, who you go to healings from, because you literally cannot understand this journey unless you've been on it. Unless you've walked it, it's out of people's comprehension. And I've had readings where they just don't understand. So it's really frustrating to listen to them talk about it when they don't quite understand that like full mystical one soul, two bodies experience and the deep longing, because it can be so easy to be confused as some kind of toxic relationship or some kind of like limerence or something like that. And so I love that. That's a great thing to say, because you do have to be mindful. And even with your, I think with your friends, like mindful who you're sharing everything with, because yeah, people can't understand it. And then it just makes you feel even more crazy. Yeah,
Totally.
I love that. How do you think that this has changed you as a person? Like the person before you met him and the person now, I'm sure is a completely different version.
Totally. There is a real clear cutoff point between who I was before meeting him and who I am really stepping into and who I am transforming into becoming. I've been having a Kundalini awakening, a very slow one, about a year prior to meeting to him. Since meeting him, it's really activated, and now I'm feeling, the fire within, my heart opening, cracking open, love pouring out. I can feel love just traveling through every cell of my body.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
And I know I'm just at the beginning, so I'm really curious to see how this keeps unfolding.
Ah, I love that. I love that it started before you met him. Did you feel like it amplified after meeting him?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, totally. I think it was just almost like scratching the surface. It was one night, spontaneous and awakening. I could feel the energy rising up. And then from meeting him now, I'm able to really cultivate it as a serpent traveling up the body.
I love that. So cool. With the Kundalini and meeting him, have more of your spiritual gifts open, like your psychic abilities and
Yes, my ability to call forth. Even just before we spoke, I said, "Dear God, please let me see a hummingbird." 2 minutes before I switch on the Zoom, a hummingbird is suckling at a beautiful flower in front of my window. I've called forth eagles, butterflies, iguanas, as well as ascended masters and angelic beings, which I didn't have this gift before meeting him. Mm. Also, my voice, I feel like my voice has become a lot more resonant, maybe from all the tears escaping my body.
yeah, I love the tonality of your voice and the depth within it. There's so many codes and layers, and it's like the goddess herself talks when you speak. It's gorgeous, and I can tell it's something. This is part of your awakening, because it feels like when I tune into your voice, like I see things, and it's like your voice opens this cavern in the heart, which is just gorgeous and amazing. Oh, I love that so much. So much. Mm. What do you think? What's your perception of this journey? What do you think it's for? Like, why did we choose this really interesting, sometimes perilous mission?
It's not about the man. It's not about this beautiful man that was before me. And yes, he's so gorgeous and all the things I could ever wish for in a partner. It's almost, he's a portal to coming into myself. I've noticed how much more loving I've become towards myself. so much more gentle and so much more caring. And my thoughts are much more loving and I'm much more compassionate.
Wow.
So that in itself is the gift.
Oh, beautiful. So profound. I think that's a beautiful place to end it. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's such a gorgeous story, and your journey has been very profound and beautiful. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
Oh, so
welcome.
gorgeous.
Oh, I
Thank
love
you
you
so
so much.
much.
You're welcome. And yeah, thank you. Thank you for watching Beyond the Veil. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can grow our channel. If you have a story you would like to share, please email nandipresents@gmail.com. If you're interested in classes or personal sessions, please visit nandi.co, Nandi.co, and have a magical